making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and.
All right, and welcome into a special edition of Do Champions. Third manageable hosts, Matthew Digert and student Body Right.
Yo,
what's going on? We are live from the Jeremy Kelly football camp. Why not us? Or why not you, I should say.
How'd you mess that up?
I don't know.
It's on your shirt. We just went over it. This is not a great start.
Oh, stop it.
So anyway, here's why you suck.
Yeah. But no, I mean, but all seriousness, this is a good day. I mean, I'll pan right to the football camp we got going on out in front of us here. Buffalo's own Jeremy Kelly, formerly of West Seneca West, met his former coach.
Here we go. Take two. What's up? This is the Third Manageable Podcast. I'm your host, Student Body Right. This is my other co-host, Matt Digert. We are at the Why Not You football camp in West Seneca, New York. We're not at East, we're at West. I know, gross, public school. I'll do it for the kids. Matt, you're a public school guy. You're already huffy with me. Here. We had Jeremy Kelly on the podcast last week, and he is a guy I've probably known for, Matt, since I was 14. Played up against him in college. He had a stint with the Colts. He had a stint with the Bears, Saskatchewan. He's been in and out. He saw what needed to be done. He was offered the opportunity by Merlin Kerner, who's here today, along with a crazy cast of characters, to start the Buffalo Bills Legends program in Alumni Affairs. If you haven't checked it out, check out that interview. It is up on Twitter, Twitch, Kick. I think it goes out in paperback next week. But we're out here. We can pan out to the crowd right here. It's a well-attended event. It's a well-produced event. As long as you don't need power in the south end zone, because we dealt with that just for a little bit. But it's one of those things that there is a real commitment here. And Maddie, I'll let you pick up with this because this was a little bit long-winded, albeit a little bit more concise.
That's the difference between public school and private school, right?
Among other things. But we're out here, we're supporting our community because that's what, honestly, it's not for show, it's all for go. Philanthropy and charitable endeavors are really important to this network and really important to me as a person, as well as Matt Digert. Speaking of that, my bocce tournament, June 22nd with Harrison Phillips. Player tickets sold out, been sold out for a couple months for that. But if you want a day pass, a lounge pass, a spectator pass, those are still available. Go to www.soleilbeach.com.
What is the cost on that now?
I believe it is
it's $40. 40 or 50.
It's cheap as chips, lad.
Yeah,
cheap as chips. We had about 600 people there last year.
Yeah,
it was actually how we
met. There was a lot of people there last year. I mean, even 2 years ago there was a lot, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. You guys did have to come down a little bit on the amount of teams. You only did 40 this year instead of 48.
And I get why people were upset about that, but that's a day where I'm always going to tell you how great I am, but I'm doing, me, I'm doing media, local media and stuff like that. This is the 5th year. I think we're approaching 200 grand, Matt, for a tournament that I drew up on a martini napkin at the Ringside Lounge. Speaking of that, for the best Italian food in Western Europe, call 716-825-3675. So, come on, check out your favorite players. We got Dawson Knox in the house. We'll have AJ Epinesa. I think we'll have Dion. We'll always have Jim Kelly. We got Will.
Come on with it, baby!
And if you're an avid golfer and you want to spectate on some hacks really tearing up a nice country club, show up to Wanaka on Monday. We will have, it's the one thing about that event, Matt, which is crazy. Where does all the shrimp cocktail go? They bring out of like a whale size boat of shrimp cocktails, and it's crazy. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's like this big by about this tall, and the whole thing is over full. It's the largest vessel of
shrimp.
Are they crustaceans?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Jake, check that.
Not anymore.
No. So a couple of network announcement moves. We did have 3 retirements coming out Two you will know and love. One a little bit behind the scenes guy. Jake Football Data he's moving out of the country, so it was going to be a little bit third and less manageable for him to keep going. You still see him popping on the network. He's a great guy. Follow him at Jake Football Data. He kind of put us on to a lot of the analytics, a lot of the systems. He kind of pioneered the ref report that Eric Wood uses, Sal Capaccio uses, all that on game day. Something we're very proud of putting out. The other one is No One to Blame. Neffy. Just not gambling that much anymore. Who can in this economy,
So, but
I guess Trump did with Elon Musk.
Let's not go politics, please. Not on this show. But we're doing stuff for stuff that they may not be all about. So let's not do that.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is highlight all the big names that are at this camp. Once again, it's the Jeremy Kelly Why Not You football camp. We got Joe Andreessen here, John Cordo, Jay Colcrick, Demarius Johnson, Marlon Kerner,
Thomas Davis Sr.
Tomorrow's really the big day.
Yeah.
So you'll have a lot of people on. We'll see if we can get Daryl Talley on here today. Mr. Joe Kroom's out there right now, but they originally put us out in the sun out there. Thank God we got a little overcast, because this is what I would say is football weather. And to our first question, this is from Greg on YouTube. I'm not going to pull it up. He said, what is your favorite weather to play in? Matt, you had a high and long-standing career. If you're a kid out there right now being coached with all of these people that spent real time in this game, this is the weather you want to be in, man.
Yeah, the overcast, the night, the the
this
lights
is truly
shining
Friday
down.
Night Lights.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of, definitely after we're done, check out Pat Bruckness tonight with the Mutt series that he has going on right now, and he's going to be talking a little bit about that, and also college football coming out, college football 26 coming out. He's going to be previewing that a little bit. No beta gameplay because he'll get his EA account banned, but definitely check that out later.
Joe Kroom's wearing short shorts. I thought I was wearing short shorts, but then again, Jeremy Kelly's wearing spandex. So I'm talking about what people are wearing. It seems like a pretty good time to bring up our first segment of the night. It's called Off the Rack. Matt, what is Off the Rack?
So first and foremost, it's brought to you by Fat Boy Surf Club for all your larger surfing needs.
I've seen skinny people wear it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, but I mean, that's one of the reasons why that kind of started was, a lot of the bigger guys didn't have.
The founder's like a very non-caloric person.
That's a nice way of putting it, but yeah, and I mean, Alec wears it, Ryan Vandermark wears it, so definitely check them out. But Off the Rack is something we started during this last season, and it's equipment changes that we feel are necessary to put out there, and
equipment changes you should care about.
Yes.
So anyway, here's the one of this week, which I noticed comes from Trey White, which a lot of people are ecstatic.
Man, I'm so happy to have him back. I really am.
Is it the breath? Was it the fresher breath air? Was that breath? Is that you know what I'm talking about?
Breath of fresh air.
No, you know what I'm talking about? I think it's Robert Royal in that Kenny Mayne segment, the main event where Marshawn Lynch goes to Applebee's. You know what I'm talking about?
I do remember that. Yeah.
I think it's Robert Royal that just goes, he's a fresher breath air in it. Anyway, Jake, check that. Oh wow, Do Media is up there. How great. We're up on the big board.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Look at us.
That's pretty cool.
Just a couple of kids that quit built in Buffalo. How was that this week?
Let's move on.
No, we don't have to move on. Who cares? We are all just little bitty pebbles.
At this point, I don't even care. They literally.
No, I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying that there is no self-importance in covering a game we love. Like,
right, everybody should be able to get along. Not to kind of go. I mean, somebody from our network saw something on Twitter from somebody from a different network and went and helped them out, and that's what it's kind of all about, is just being a good person and being a good human being in general.
And I thought that was like an exoteric thing, like just widely understood, just like kind of be a decent person.
Right.
I know I used to pop off on Twitter a lot, but I don't know, just be good, do good, win a championship, which I hope we do. Anyway, getting back to the show, Off the Rack, sponsored by Fat Boy Surf Club, equipment changes you should care about. This comes from Trey White. He is rocking a new helmet of which you can see in the top right there. He's rocking the Schutt F7 Pro, and that has the built-in face mask. One of the things when we interviewed Alec Anderson is he kind of commented on him, Spencer Brown. They're all wearing a lot of position-specific headgear, and you can see that is a change from the Schutt F7, of which he rocked with the Ravens and the Rams in
Which let
2024.
me ask you a question about the face mask stuff, because I really, my football career ended in high school, but with that being said, you moved on to college. You played all 4 years of college. What was your position specific face mask, and why did you enjoy wearing that specific face mask?
I don't know if the tech was there yet for position specific helmets yet. That's like a new kind of interpolation within the last coming years. I wore a Rydell Speedflex. Now, what I will tell you is I wore custom fitted cooling impact pads because I had 2 torn labrums in my shoulder, which is, you see Matt Milano with like, that bicep, kind of like that bicep strap he has. What that is it is a restrictive band that connects to your front chest plate as well as your back, that restricts your labrum movement because he has torn labrums, which is a terrible.
Does that mess with your tackling ability at all, or like
no? Because ideally it's trying to get you to not extend back, which is your AC joint. I'm not a doctor, I'm a stockbroker. Okay, AC joint and
where's Thigh
and
Doctor when you need him?
He'll probably come on. He's the greatest guy ever. See, that's network synergy or between networks.
Yes.
Anyway, no, because if you're tackling, you just want all your explosive movements going forward. So that's a good question. Yeah, but I wore impact pads that were out of New Jersey. They cooling in them. But man, if you go into like an, I played 1AA or FCS. I actually played against Jeremy Kelly, and you go into these big LSU locker rooms. They have air conditioned helmets.
Mm-hmm.
They have coolant pads. I know my big thing in college was I wore double-sided tape because I never wanted anyone to grab me. Holding happens every play. It's like, how do you mitigate it? I mean, that was one of the things that my college coaches always told me. Like, you miss an assignment, like you get caught out of position, you don't play force correctly. He held me. That is not an excuse. Holding happens every play. Why'd you get held? Because you let him get your hands on it.
Right. And I mean, that's really the big thing is, we heard it from like even somebody on a podcast with Julian Edelman when he did hit, talking about Bill Belichick yelling at him for wearing the red gloves because you could see it on the white jerseys, and they're going to catch that every single time.
Yeah, we got a question for the crowd here from Pat Bruckness. Both of you guys have played football for some time. I haven't played in a long time, but what is your favorite football moment? Maddie, I'll go to you first because I have 2.
I have one from my playing days. The other one is from the Bills. First and foremost was my playing days is we were playing Lackawanna, and they left me unblocked. And literally 5 yards deep, hit the quarterback, recovered the fumble, and that was probably my favorite moment of my football career. But the other one was watching Sam Adams rumble down the field in that 31.
Was that Lawyer Malloy's first game?
That was Lawyer Malloy.
We beat the Patriots. Patriots
31-0.
I was at that game.
I still have the Sports Illustrated with Sam Adams rumbling down the field on the front of it. That was probably my favorite.
My 2 favorites are not good stories, and I've told them a bunch, but one of them was actually when I played against Jeremy Kelly at the University of Maine. Javon Belcher was there. Des Randall was there. I had a nasty habit of losing my temper and punching the turf and punching helmets. My coaches were always just like, yo, you punched a guy with a helmet on. Real smart. So I would always break the metacarpal in my right hand. It was always my right hand. So my first 2 or 3 years in college, I always played with a cast. It just worked out that way the first 2 or 3 games. And one of those games was home versus the University of Maine. And, we let them hang around too long, and they got the ball late on an offensive turnover, I believe. And there was a Hail Mary situation where that ball had to travel 55 yards into the end zone. And I remember I went to knock it down, and it went off my cast. and a player at the University of Maine caught it, and we lost. I remember I went back to the football house. I got a case of Keystone Light. I watched Ohio State, USC, and I got absolutely toe up. I was in the cups, man.
Yeah.
The other one I will tell, hopefully this is the last one I'll ever tell. You know what story it is.
Do I?
It's my sophomore year. It's the first time I'm really getting game action. And we were playing a Joe Flacco led University of Delaware at Delaware.
Yep. That's the story.
I'm playing on the left side. I'm playing the Will, and I come down on like a semi-convoluted like dog blitz, and I come screaming off the end. Joe Flacco was left-handed, so I think I got a free shot at him. And I'm actually kind of playing at like 253 pounds or something like that. I'm 6'3". So I hit him as hard as I can in the back. He shrugs his shoulders. I get a face full of turf because they played on grass. He steps into the pocket, flicked his wrist for a 40-yard pass that went through an 80-yard touchdown. He goes running down the field. He puts one finger up in the air and he goes, "Nice hit, little boy." So
what was the score at halftime? I apologize now.
Not a good time. Yo, Matt, I was straight up.
A lot to a little.
I was straight up, Matt. Not having a good time.
Yeah.
So that was a tough day for me. But hopefully, a lot of tough days when you're playing the sport. But Matt, my favorite kind of moment being a Bills fan was us beating to get to the playoffs. Who did we beat?
The Dolphins that year, the first time we made it back.
Yeah, and then the red cannon, the red rifle.
Yeah,
the red rifle led us to victory. I was at some Irish bar in the Lower East Side, and I remember just crying. And this transplant from Buffalo, she must have been 70 years old. She went to Mount St. Mary's, so my type. The Irish folk. She's just like, "I love your passion," and I was just like, "I don't know what to do with myself."
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I was.
I think
too.
I threw up that night.
I didn't do that, but I
was a sushi incident.
I'm not gonna sit here. I'm a big tough guy and everything like that, but I shed a few tears that night because it was New Year's Eve. And, we just watched the Bills beat the Dolphins. You turn it on. I'm literally in a praying position as like that 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 12, 4th and 13 happen, and seeing Andy Dalton put it over, I think it was Terrell Suggs' outstretched hands or CJ Mosley's, one of the two. And
dude, Darryl Talley is still such a big guy.
Yeah, he is.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, over one of those guys' hands and right into Tyler Boyd's hands, and he walks in for the touchdown. And just the elation, I cannot tell you, making the playoffs that year. It sucked. We lost the next game to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it happens. They took the Patriots as far as they could go, in the next series or whatever it was, and that was about it.
Yeah. What age did you start playing tackle football? I want to have this debate.
8th grade.
That's a fine age.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to play earlier. My dad was for it. My mother was against it. I
started playing at 4.5 years old. That's
a little young.
A little young? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. It's kind of some of the sacrifices I guess unintendedly, the choices I made, hopefully don't take me. I mean, obviously everybody who plays long enough is going to have CTE and stuff like that. But like 4.5 years old, Flacco calling you a little boy is disrespectful.
Thanks, Peanut Gallery.
We appreciate the comment. No, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
But like I said, better be a has-been than it never was. So, I was a never was. So, no, but do you think there should be some type of, I know this is such a lib opinion, there's no reason that Pop Warner needs to start at 5 years old. Go play flag football and learn the fundamentals of the game. Learn the structures of the game.
I'm a little different. It depends
because,
on
your offensive linemen are just like the the chubby kids that
Yeah.
struggle to make weight.
Yeah, I remember that. Like it was anybody above 140 pounds had to be an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, and anybody else could play any other position. So I mean, it kind of hurts the development of anybody that's
And there's like
growing quickly. Like that.
There's like not like a ton of like constructive like skill football going on.
Correct.
I just don't know if that's a great thing.
The only thing that I will say is kind of redeeming for doing it that young is getting used to having the pads on, getting used to having the helmet on, and learning how to hit correctly at that young age with your head up, and wrapping up and making tackles that way. But I mean, other than that, there isn't really any benefit from it other than that you can't get out of flag football because you can run plays out of that. You can run plays out of 7-on-7 and learn all that same stuff that you're learning other than the tackling part of it. I know that I played intramural flag football a lot.
Which shout out to flag football, starting to become a recognized.
It's Olympic sport now.
Right. Well, I meant it more like on inclusion of females.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's really cool. You don't just have to like push them into the game of rugby.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can still play like America's true pastime. I know you're a baseball fan, but
who, me?
Yeah,
I'm not really a baseball fan. I'm more
baseball is not there's two I think kind of outdated slogans or mantras that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Cowboys are America's team.
Absolutely.
And that baseball is America's pastime.
And I get it. Like you have hockey as Canadians' pastime because it was the late 1800s, and then baseball was America's pastime because again that was early 1900s, late 1800s.
I mean, if you want to be technical, lacrosse is America's pastime.
But that came more from the
people who were here first
and things like that. And that was stuff I would have to go back and look, but I think that was even before America became a thing. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we got a lot of special guests coming on. You can check out the whole slate we got
between tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be very good. And Monday. We'll have Mr. Teddy Cottrell. We'll have Aaron Williams on the show. It is a long day of stream events. So, hop in here and ask us any questions you would like. Hey, I wanted to shout out, by the way, Beyond and Whittle 2K.
Yeah.
If you're missing Coast to Coast, which goes off on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., they don't shy away from like the punchy topics.
No, and that's
they had
great.
Kevin Messeri on the other night. They had more of like an analytics, stat-based, I wouldn't say math-based show. And they still had like a couple, they were able to not make it droll and boring. It was kind of nice to see data presented the right way as an enhancement in utility, not just, the eye test.
And
we talked to Vic Carucci about the eye test, how that's like that's just a curmudgeon's way of kind of viewing the game.
And he even said he's getting a little bit into the analytics side of it because it's if you're not doing the data side of it along with the eye test, then you're doing yourself a disservice because there's a lot of things out there that data can explain to you that you're not actually seeing on the field. But then on the flip side, there's a lot of things on the field that the data is not telling you.
Yeah, I really like Fourth Down Decision Bot on Twitter.
Yeah.
No,
it's a good follow. It's definitely a good follow.
It's just a straight algorithmic, multiple input data pool, which I think is cool. The one thing that drives me absolutely fucking nuts, Matt, is the red line when a team is driving down the field and the half is ending or the game is ending.
Oh, the field goal line.
Yeah,
that bothers me too.
That's like not a binary thing. Like they have to cross that line then they're like granted the opportunity to kick for three.
The only thing I will say, because I don't think it's like, oh, you got to pass that line. I think the utility of that is there because, somebody like a Tyler Bass can kick. He kicked the 61-yard field goal last year against Miami. They were saying, they had the red line at 37 yards. So you add 7 to the 37, you get 54 yards.
Well, what I'm saying is it's binary in that is they show the red line and it's just like, I'd rather like, break it down by subsets. Like if you get to here, his historical accuracy is around 30%. If you get to here, his historical accuracy rounds to 50%. And if you get to here, it gets to 70%. How fucking easy is that? You put it up in 3 different tranches, not just one binary, like get here and you can kick it. It's just so misleading and it's a misappropriation of so much
data. That's kind of why I was saying there is the utility there for it, because it truly is something that should be used. And I get it for the average fan. You're seeing, oh, there's the line, you know, they're on the 20-yard line of their own because they took a touchback or whatever the case may be. They're on the 20-yard line right now. With 37 seconds left in the half of the game, they have to get to the 35-yard line to have, you know, his longest kick made of the year or whatever they use that red line for the kicker that's playing on CBS, Fox, you know, wherever that night. So I really do think the utility's there, but I wish they would put a little bit more data behind it.
Where you at with the tush push?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it's something that is.
It took me a couple of years to realize it was a legal play.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was aiding the runner.
So that's another question I have for you, because we've brought it up before on the on Third and Manageable. When did they change that as a rule? Because like if you remember back in, you know, watching the the frozen tundra, you know, that type of stuff on ESPN, all those you know, specials, and specifically the one about the Ice Bowl, you see the famous picture of the running back with his arms up like this, showing the camera showing the refs, not the camera, it's showing the refs that he's not touching the quarterback. Because if he pushes him, back then it was a penalty and a flag would have been thrown and they wouldn't have won that game.
So in 2005, the NFL removed the prohibition that of pushing the runner.
There you go.
So a legal action is pushing the runner forward. Aiding the runner actually is pulling or carrying the runner forward.
So here's something
is like kind of getting into the game of semantics.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I heard the other day. I don't remember where it was, whether it was GR or a podcast I was watching or something, but who do you think actually came up with that? Because they have Mailata on that team, who is a former rugby player. Do you think it was something that Sirianni went to him and was like, hey, is there anything we could possibly do to get like a yard or two that's going to be like, or do you think it was like maybe like a Jason Kelsey thing, or do you think it was a combination of the offensive line, or do you think it was a brainchild of Sirianni's?
Well, it wasn't Sirianni. It would have been Jeff Stoutland, who they kind of like credit to that. But I think in 2005, for like, you know, I guess like 16 years to pass before like you kind of like make this a rule. I mean, the Packers really get dunked on for trying to like to really kind of
so do the Bills. So do the Bills try and get rid of, you know, because
we weren't good at it.
Well, it's not even that. They were good at it except for the Kansas City game.
I mean, I left that game really just kind of,
I hated the tush push after that game. I was like, what are you doing?
What's that? Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have somebody coming up right now. Is that camera working on anything right now?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go. What's that? Hey, I played on the Chargers for 3 days. We're all good here, man. I sucked. Right there, actually. Headset right there and microphone. How do you want to be addressed? Matt, why don't you intro my man right here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually gonna let him do it once he gets everything on the line, or on his head and everything like that. Let me see if I can help you with that real quickly.
Oh, I might help you do it that way.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So we actually have Tony Richardson on here, former Jet. Where else did you play?
Well, so
we're back up just a touch, just so we can get you on there.
Yeah.
You guys can hear me pretty well?
We can now.
Okay. Yeah. So Jeremy's been a good dear friend of mine. So I was very fortunate to play in the National Football League for 17 years. I went to Auburn University.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we beat Alabama. My senior year, we went 11-0, and then I was.
Doesn't talk about this junior, sophomore, freshman.
No, we were actually good. I mean, we were number one. Yeah. I played with some dogs. But anyway, so then I got a chance to go to the Dallas Cowboys. I was there behind the back-to-back Super Bowl years, and then 11 years with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm in the Chiefs Ring of Honor, so I blocked for Marcus Allen, Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Van Moore and Greg Hill, boom, boom. Then went to Minnesota for 2 years, blocked for Adrian Peterson. I rode his back to the Pro Bowl. And then my last 3 was with the New York Jets. And so I had Rex Ryan for the worst year of my life with Brett Favre, but that was no problem. No, I mean Eric Mangini. Then I had Rex. So I had Rex for 2 years with Mark Sanchez at back-to-back AFC championship games. And I left in my 17th year before the butt fumble. So I had to do.
I was just going to ask.
It's
Everybody
okay.
always asks.
Hey, it's okay to
what
like
was the
Mark
butt fumble
Sanchez?
like? Everybody was like, what was the butt fumble like? I was at home on the couch.
So, we're out here for like kind of this philanthropic cause and everything like that. I know you won the Walter Payton Man of the Year. 2008, 2010, I believe.
2010. Yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you when you see in the legacy and all in the merit of man of what it takes, the selflessness, the endeavors you have to work within your community? What was it like to be honored by your constituents and getting such a high nod?
Yeah, I
in
think for me it started, childhood. Like my dad served our country for 32 years. He's a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart. Has a zipper on his leg. My sister did 28 years for deployment. So I was born. I never touched American football till my 10th grade year in high school.
That is incredible.
My entire life was service. So all I knew, like for us, even as kids, like, my dad was a drill sergeant in Knox, and he would have like soldiers at the house for Thanksgiving, and it'd be like 8 to 10 soldiers that we didn't know. But my dad was just teaching us then about the importance of giving back and serving your community. And also just like, even for holidays, like I'm the youngest of 7, so that was the worst for me for Christmas. And my birthday's in December, so I really didn't get much. But for every one toy we wanted, we had to give 2 away at Christmas time.
Wow!
And I had to give away my my GI Joe with the Kung Fu grip, and I was not too happy about
still hasn't forgotten.
So what pushed you to go to, like, obviously I get it, but what pushed you to go to football rather than getting in the military with your, being a military brat?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was so I was a kid. When I was a kid, I had a lot of not disabilities, but I had a heart murmur, so I couldn't play sports. Bad allergies, so like in the morning, my mom would have to come take a hot rag to take the pus out of my eyes. Had migraine headaches, and I was overweight, so that I just didn't sports. I played soccer, but it just wasn't. I couldn't play a lot of sports, so I literally wake up in the morning, barely could see, headache all throughout the day, going home, and then just like a lot of things. And so finally, when we got playing in Alabama, here's this kid coming in, listening to AC/DC, Metallica, talking about rally dude, speaking German with an afro. They were like, who the heck is this kid? So my 10th grade year in high school, a good buddy of mine was just like, hey, you should come out for the football team. And that was my first time touching American football. And like, I didn't.
You know how insane that is?
Well, you're saying Strahan, though. Strahan grew up in Germany, and like, he obviously was fortunate that his dad moved him from Germany to go live with his uncle in Texas, and that's when because there's no American football, especially back then. There was no American football.
So it's all about Bayern Munich. And,
yeah, exactly. So went out for football, didn't know how to put the pads in. When best thing happened, and that's why I love doing these camps, is we had a high school football coach that came in and said, hey, if you work really hard, you can get a football scholarship. So for me, like
in the SEC,
yeah. So it was one of those things. And so for me, it was a light came on. I was like, I've seen how my dad and my mom, obviously she wasn't serving, but she was, and it was just like, I'm like, if I can take that financial burden off my parents, then that'd be golden. And that was the greatest day of my life when I told my parents that from the time I left the house at 18.
Speaking of putting pads in and learning that stuff, were like, I know you were, back in the mid 2000s, whatever, and then like late 90s, but were you pro thigh pads?
Yeah, I mean, I was the guy that they used to joke with me a lot of times, like, dude, you look like the guy, the poster in the locker room that had all the pads on. But it's one of the things. I was a fullback, so like literally when I first came into the league, especially at Kansas City, I was Marcus. I blocked for all his short yardage and goal line touchdowns, but then also it was like special teams. So if you look at some old pictures, I got knee pads on, so I wore my pads. But then as I got older in my career, I'm like, I was new, and I'm like, dude, if I get hit in my thighs, I'm playing too high. So then I realized I stopped wearing thigh pads and knee pads.
Well, you played fullback.
Yeah, I played fullback and tail.
Yeah.
But
can you draw any parallels to the hard-nosed kind of adages of the military? Everything by structure, stuff like that, and kind of the thanklessness and the hard-nosed position of playing fullback.
That's what I always
There has
said.
to be terrible amount of parallels.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when I got inducted into the Chiefs Ring of Honor, and I had my parents there, and Priest Holmes was there. And I got so emotional, one, just thinking about my parents' name up in the rafters. But I was a starting tailback before we brought Priest in. And so when Priest came in, like, I went to Coach Ramil and said, hey, we need to put Priest, both of us need to be on the field. So I went back to fullback. And so for me, I'm like, I loved it because, like, I get up, I got dirt in my face, bleeding and everything else, and Priest is on the front page of the newspaper. But I felt like if if I did my job and pre-scored, then we win. And that's what the military is. And that's the thing. It's like I do, I don't ever consider it work, but I do a lot of things in the military community. And they're just like, oh, man, so great what you do. Or like firefighters. And they're like, so great what you do. And I'm like, listen, fire starter, I'm running out. You guys are running in. I said, you military guys, I'm like, I know that you guys, they do say for that 3 hours and watching game when they're deployed, that takes them back to their like childhood, like, oh, I'm a Bills fan or I'm a Jet fan, I'm a Giants fan. And so that 3 hours is where they can kind of unload and then they get back to the real stuff. But I'm like, if we make a mistake on the front line,
jeez,
you know what? My quarterback might get hit. If you make a mistake, then, it could be, So I do, to answer your question, there's a lot of parallels between a fullback, but my job is I can get the tailback hit. But if someone, a serviceman, makes a mistake, they're going to get somebody else hit.
That's a great answer, man.
Yeah. So real quick, you said you were a Kansas City Chief.
Yeah.
I grew up as a Steelers fan.
That's fine. I used to have to block LeVon Kirkland.
I know.
And that's the thing.
I know.
Dude,
he is a big dude.
I used to tell people, they were like, oh, we got, because, linebackers now are like 225, 230.
It's a complete paradigm shift.
I'm blocking LeVon Kirkland. He's 295. And so Kevin Green was my mentor. So he used to come back to Auburn and help us out when
Kevin Green was so cool.
And, obviously, God rest his soul. But for me, like, the block, I'm like, they're like, oh, yeah, we got the middle linebacker. I'm like, to do what? You know what I mean? This dude 295. I'm standing back there in the middle. But, it was
not a fun time to run ISO.
But, it's interesting, though. I kind of started to see the parallels. If you started thinking about the game, it's like, before it was like, oh, we need fast linebackers to cover. But now you bring a guy like Derrick Henry, who's the size of LeVon Kirkland. And, it's like, okay, now they're starting. I go to the combine every year because I work for the league office. So now I'm starting to see bigger linebackers that can still run. But you're going to have to, because I don't know, you put 205 linebacker in the ball game and Derrick Henry come through there as fast as he's running downhill, it's going to be a long day. So being
a Bills fan and then also a Steelers fan, like we know, it was early 90s with the Dolphins.
Yeah.
How was the rivalry against the Steelers? Because it was always Pittsburgh, KC.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even though the North, but you had the Browns, you had the Bengals,
Well, it's funny because the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was more because, Cowher was in Kansas City. And so it was just like, and, Marty and Cowher, like they were, God rest him, Marty passed away.
Yeah.
But Marty Schottenheimer, and it was like there was a lot of parallels. There was a lot of, and funny enough, I almost signed with, because I was a free agent. So I almost signed with the Steelers. And it was just like that mold fit, like I think, it's just, you just know when you're playing against the Steelers, you're going to get hit in the face.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And it was just rough because, like, they wore those matte black helmets back in the day, no shine. And it was just, like, scarred.
Logo on one side.
You just knew and then they play a Renegade. You're just like, man.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever cross paths with Ted Cottrell?
Yeah, I know Ted. Yeah, I know Ted well. Yeah, Ted's awesome. Yeah.
The way he speaks about the game and the mental
amazing.
state of which you have to gear up for.
Yeah.
What was one game that you felt most confidence in your assignment and your preparation, that you saw the fruits of that labor and going into it?
I can tell you because it was my last year in the league, and it was the Bart Scott can't wait game against the Patriots. So earlier in that year, they stomped a mud hole on us. It was so bad, we literally went out, and J.U. Colquitt, he fullback, he was here. We dug a hole and took the ball and all the tapes, and we buried it in the practice field. We never looked at it. We never talked about it. And then fast forward, we get to the playoffs, and we got to go back up to Patriots, back up to Foxborough, back up, against Tom Brady. And it was us. Everyone was like, dude, they just beat you guys 45-7 like a few weeks ago. So it was us against the world. And that was one game where I knew, like, and it was hostile. It's playoffs. And, Tom Brady comes to life in the playoffs. He comes to life all the time, but he comes to life in the playoffs. But that was one game. It was just like us against the world. And we went in as a band of brothers. Like, I don't even think people in New York thought we had a chance. And we went up there, and it was just like, the first drive, David Harris got a pick six. Like, everything that we needed to go right went right. And it was just like everything that we said that it was going to happen, it happened. It came to fruition. I think that was where, like, and the crazy part about it was just like, it was just like, that's when Revis was like on fire, and we were landing back in New York, and the Empire State Building was green, and they named it Revis Island. So that's when you just knew, like, the guy next to you, it was a brotherhood, and we were like, we could have wished we'd have played Pittsburgh then, because the next game we played Pittsburgh, and that was my last ever football game. So Mike Tomlin was he was our defensive back coach when I was with the Vikings. So me and Mike T used to talk ball all the time. Like, I knew he was going to be a head coach. I don't think he realized he was going to be a head coach. He was the last interview. And then I'm trying to I hate Wiz Khalifa. So Wiz Khalifa, they're saying after this game, I knew my career was over, 17 years, I'm done. Confetti's falling. I'm trying to walk over to say congratulations to Coach Tomlin. The confetti's falling. They're putting the stage. They don't care who you are. They're pushing you out of the way. Wiz Khalifa's in a mink coat singing Black and Yellow. I was like, if you play that, I told him, you play that song Black and Yellow, I'm gonna flip that table over. I hate that to this day.
I can cut you inside the box.
Yeah, that Black and Yellow, but that, it's I got a lot of respect.
Being an SEC guy and feeding off that crowd energy when you're on the field.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the dichotomy between Saturdays down south and any given Sunday, and if you had to impart which one you preferred in terms of game day atmosphere, in terms of just the get up from the crowd and the impact, would you pick
college all day long? It's not even night and day. Because
tell me you pick college.
Yeah. Why?
Tell me about the Iron Bowl and what.
That's what I was about to say. So my last year. So
I got goosebumps.
The way we do it, so we have what's called a tiger walk. So we stay on the dorms on the top of the hill. We probably walk from about a little bit further than that house. So all the fans, like, first of all, for that game, and it was the second time ever that game was ever at Auburn. So that was the Alabama-Auburn. Normally it's at a neutral site. So we're coming out like we knew it was going to be a crowd. I'm talking about 100,000 people. And we were on probation that year, 100,000 people on the streets. We had to walk single file line to get there. Like by the time all of us got to the stadium, everyone was just in tears. There was so much emotion. There was so much passion.
Yo, that's powerful.
But people were coming. So the game was on Saturday. The Winnebago started showing up on Wednesday. So it's a party from Wednesday. We can't even stay in town. So like we go out of town to like an undisclosed location on Friday nights, just because we couldn't. There's no way you can be on campus then. So we get back on campus and we get back on campus the day of the game. So we get back and we see like this mass sea of like orange and blue and walking through there. It was like the whole state. So basically, I tell people this: that day you could have robbed Alabama. You could have stole anything you wanted. So that game there, we were on probation. No joke. We were on probation. It was on closed caption TV inside in T-Town. So in Tuscaloosa Stadium, they were showing it inside their stadium, 70,000 people watching it on a jumbotron in their stadium. We had 85,000 people in our stadium, and there was another 40,000 people outside. And you literally could have just walked down to anybody's house if they had and just stole everything. Because like that day, like every police officer, I mean, and I hate to mention things about stuff like this, but there's been Alabama-Auburn games where brother and sister get in an argument, sister pulls a gun, kills brother, boom, dead. No, you could Google it. Like family members fight, they separate, wives and husband get divorced.
It runs deep.
It's great. It's crazy. Yeah. So, and I came from Germany, so they're like, okay, who you got? And I'm like, and they were like, Alabama-Auburn. I'm like, all right, shoot, I don't know. They're like, you got to make a choice. So in my sophomore year, I said Auburn and then everything. But yeah, you got to draw a line in the sand.
How do you view the prism of the game from being a player and now at the league office?
Yeah.
Is there anything was there ever a paradigm shift? Did you see more doors open in terms of the inner workings? Because everybody knows it's a business. I'm not necessarily talking about that. I'm talking about, did you see the Shield differently from your 18th year from that man to a man now trying to protect the Shield and make it bigger? What main differences are now that you're running the machine versus playing for the machine?
It's funny because like I was always on the executive committee for the union. So like my last year was a lockout year. And that's when we had Jeff Saturday. Yeah, So we got locked up. That's when we had Jeff Saturday, Dominique Foxworth, Mike Vrabel. We were all on, and Drew Brees, all of us on.
Matt Light.
Matt Light came in a little bit. Matt was on. He was on our executive board, and so so at that time I despised the league because it was just like they're telling us that we don't have money. Like, come on, dude, you guys you run your business like a non-for-profit. You never have to show your
banging
profit.
me out for $5,000 because my socks.
Yeah, exactly. So at that time, it was kind of like, it took me a while to even take the job because the first 2 years at the football, they were offering me a position. I'm like, I'm not fooling with you guys. But then but now, like with my job, what I do is like Jeremy and I work, we do the same thing.
Alumni affairs, Legends program.
But
what a program.
But Jeremy's on the team side. I'm on the league side. And so for me, that's incredible. And that's the great thing about it. Me and JK talk about so many different things, about so many different guys. Like our biggest thing is just making sure our guys are whole. So we don't care if the NFLPA gets the credit or the NFL gets the credit.
It's almost like you're crisis manager.
Well, I get out of for us, I'm addressing the need. I don't care how we get it done. If we got to go to the PA, we get it done. If we have to go to the league office, we get it done. As long as our guys are whole, we're good. Y'all deal with the political BS. And that's the thing. And that's the thing like JK, like there's some things that he can't do from the club side. There's some things I can't do from the league side, but we work hand in hand, making sure our guys are taken care of. And that's the thing that gets me moving every day because I know we're here taking care of our guys.
I mean, him and Kerner in the way they set up, just the data set, the way they talk about housing, the way they talk about, almost like a marital coach, evictions.
Yeah, no doubt.
It truly feels like
Yeah.
crisis management, and for all of these little pieces to be once on the localized
Yeah.
level with the clubs as well as you overseeing it.
Yeah.
You have to feel like you built a web, not of silk, but a web of iron, which I think embodies the shield that we take care of our own.
And the great thing about Jeremy, and I always consider him to be the best, if one of the best, if not the best, is because he can break down the barriers of like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times,
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, the biggest thing is like we always say NFL stands for not for long, and there's only certain ways you're going to leave. You're going to play 13 years like Michael Strahan, win a Super Bowl, roll off into the red carpet, and parlay that into a gazillion-dollar career. That doesn't happen too often. So you're either going to get hurt, you're going to get cut. Unfortunately, you might pass away. If you play 12, you probably think you should have played 13. You play 13, you should have played 14. You like screw the team. They cut me. They dogged me. My last contract and all this kind of stuff. And so what Jeremy's able to do is to go get. He has plenty of stories of having to kind of dig guys out of like bad situations where they're just like they kind of lose their identity and all that kind of stuff. But when JK calls him, he's just like, listen, yes, I do work for the Bills, and now he works for the Panthers, but at the same time, I'm here for you, and we don't have to. Anything we talk about stays here, and so you kind of break down those barriers. And I've seen Jeremy work through some. I mean, because it's one of those things like you go from present tense to past tense faster than like, oh yeah, you used to be Tony Richardson. I'm like, no, I'm still the same person. I might not play ball no more.
Yeah,
but that's hard when you go from present to past tense, where you can walk in any restaurant, get any reservation, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get a reservation. Oh, you want one tonight? How about next Tuesday night? You know what I mean? Like,
we're big with like kind of mental health and that. We do a lot with Alec Anderson, and we do a lot of mental health associates and stuff like that. Yeah. Did you ever feel a bit of loss of identity when the jersey came off?
I didn't.
Now, I'm not saying lost years. I'm just saying like you knew you had to go to the next thing, but it's just a loss of a sense of self a little bit.
I think I felt it, but I kind of saw my dad transition because he retired military 32 years, and like everywhere we went, my dad's people saluting. He gets home now, says him and my mom's not saluting him. So I saw my dad kind of go through that, and so I was like, I'm gonna be ready. I finished my undergrad in MBA while I was currently playing. I had everything set up. I was doing TV in New York. I thought everything was great. And then I just kind of realized, like, I'm miserable. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like a loss of identity, but it was like for 17 years and then 4 years in college. I mean, I spent a year and a half of my life in training camp, just 17 camps. So all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, you're like,
did you ever said like you military background, a sense of structure, NFL structure.
And then all of a sudden you got,
and then all of a sudden you're boundless.
I'm watching Lifetime Movie Network with the blinds drawn, like literally. Because you just kind of because you're like, you're good financially, but you just sit around. You don't feel like, you know what I mean?
But isn't there beauty in the comfortability of figuring out, doing your best, and then kind of just putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and seeing yourself flourish? Like it's the Shield, and not only playing for them, but working for them. There's people that have come before you. It's almost like the other people own the land, but you're still doing the construction.
Well, and that's my thing, and that's why I'm so proud of like the work we did in 2010.
And
what the salary cap is now, like even it was like little triggers that, so the owners, everyone had the same exact salary cap, but with owners, they didn't have to spend up to the cap. So we were like, okay, it's one thing to have a salary cap, the Bills have X amount, everybody has the same amount of money, but teams wasn't forced to spend up. So we're like, we put triggers in. So now all of a sudden you'll see a guy who's like a third string guard signing a $20 million guaranteed contract. You're like, where'd this dude come from? So they have to spend the money. Now it depends on, they don't.
Well, tell that to David Tepper. He's I'm a finance guy. He's an equity guy. He was the Appaloosa. He might run it. He might run it.
Spend it though. You have to spend it. You got to spend up to the cap. So and like they, so you'll see like all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Chiefs just gave Travis Kelce another, $15 million, whatever you have to spend it. Now where they decide to disperse it, but you're starting to see, and this is where the numbers of the salary cap is incredible. And I'm never going to be the old guy on the porch like, oh man, look what fullbacks are making now. I'm like, man, I'm glad what fullbacks are making, because like you said, it's like the guys who stood on the front lines, like a Darryl Talley and those guys that I played against Talley, but they stood on the line to make it better for us. And so my job, I knew, is to leave the game, if not the same, at least better
than you found it.
Better than I found it. And so we just hope that the next generation does, and then our game continues to grow. Because you do, like I hate when I hear, I get it, and I do understand. There's some Hall of Fame quarterbacks that, guys are making $50 million a year. Some of these guys could play 16 years back in the day, and they might not have made $5 million. And so I get it when I do hear that. And it's like, dude, and they're like, I get it. And I understand that with the rules, you can't hit them, you can't touch them. So I understand that, but I hate people bickering. I'm like, dude, when you were making that money, you were the richest person. You wherever you were making more money than anyone else in the world. And now it's like these guys are, and it is. It's a lot of money. You tell a guy like this, you just signed. I live in New York, so you just look at
Where about?
I live in. I lived in Long Island City for
LIC.
Yeah, I lived in LIC.
I was on 37th and 3rd.
I was on
Murray Chill.
Oh yeah, I was on 47th and 7th.
Oh,
yeah, but then
that's a West Side.
But now I'm in Jersey City, loving the Jersey City.
Jersey City's great. They have that one taco place right by the light rail.
Taco Korea. Yeah. That's
my guy.
Dude, the line around that door.
Yo, you gotta wait outside, but they're like, yo, just take a margarita.
Yeah,
you need more salt?
That's at the end of my block. So I live on Bay
What's
Street.
the pizza joint out there?
There's
the wood-fired Neapolitan. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. What's the name? I know what you're talking about. But there's like literally, but you say this, they literally like pass you out a margarita, just drink, and then you get.
And you're on somebody's stoop.
You're on someone's stoop. Yeah, right outside. Yeah, I walk my dogs on it all the time.
Well, you're talking about you've lived all these places and stuff like that. And one of the last questions I want to ask you, hopefully it's not too personal.
Oh no.
How important is it? I see you wear a ring and everything like that. How important is it that your family and your spouse and your kids?
All right, I'm gonna tell you about this ring. So this is my Aura ring. This is the ring they sent me to fit it for this. So I wear this so women will leave me the heck alone.
Oh, I thought it was
yeah, no, seriously.
I thought it's because you're married to the game.
There you go. But not funny. The reason I was literally I was a Sullivan chief, so I was Sullivan through my career. And Mike Sweeney was just funny now. So Mike Sweeney, the baseball player, we were neighbors.
You are an interesting cat.
So Sweeney was a virgin, and then now he's married.
You say Mormon?
No, so now he's married. He sent me his trial. I don't have my phone. And now he has like 7 kids. I said, "Dude, you ain't no virgin anymore." I'm sorry, now I have like beautiful kids and everything else. But that's one of the things I think that I did sacrifice. Like, through my career, I was because I was all the way in. Like my dad taught me like if you're gonna do something, do it 100%. And I didn't have the balance, so I was in school, church, or practicing. That's it. So this right here is my Aura ring, but I put it on here. You married? Yes.
No, but you can even flip that to the friends you choose and the family you're born with. How important is it that they get what you're trying to impart in this world?
Yeah,
and through your efforts, through your decisions, and through your tutelage of guiding guys like Jeremy Kelly and the next man up. How important is that to keep that circle tight and to keep the vibe, so to speak, in tune to make you your best self?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. It's like even last night, like JK picked me up from the airport. And he was
I think I got to pick up Aaron Williams about 10.
So he was like, he felt bad. He's like, T, you know what? I would love to take you guys to dinner. What I said, JK, I'm cool. I got to go upstairs and I got to finish his test. He's in school. So he's taking his master's. He had 2 hours last night. He said he'd get to bed till 4:00. But yeah, still he's out here today. So the thing about it is like, it makes me proud because I see him bettering himself. And then also you can't.
My MBA hangs over my toilet where it belongs.
But the same thing is like, we tell these kids like important of education. You can't tell them that if you didn't do it. You know what I mean? So it's like the CJK, they don't know he was up till 4 a.m. doing a test. They could have been like, "Oh, he was up 4 a.m. What were you doing last night?" No, he was up studying, and that's a beautiful thing. But I do believe the game is in a good place. I think our leaders in a good place. And then, JK, like, man, I grew up in this community, and like I love the motto. It's like, why not you? He did it. Why not you?
And it's an acronym for Western New York.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We have one question for the crowd, and then we're going to let you go. Yo, thank you. You're an interesting. This is probably one of our best.
I made it all.
Well, I have one more question. I have one more question. Let me after the crowd.
Okay.
So,
the crowd. Where's the crowd?
They're online. They're watching. You got 2,000 people watching.
All right, cool.
How did you arrive at your number? What is your number? Because you wore a lot of numbers.
That is funny. So the football.
That is a great question.
No, it's a great question. So I didn't have a number. So when I got my first time playing football, was in high school, 10th grade. So they gave me number 35, tailback number. Okay, perfect. So then I'm like, okay, I get to college, and the starting fullback had number 35. So they gave me number 40. I was like, okay, I rock 40.
Mike Allstott.
Yeah, I rock 40. No, I think I'm older. No, he's older than me. But anyway, so so I wore 40 through Auburn, and then I get to 4. I get to the Cowboys. Guess who has number 40? Bill Bates. So I'm like, not getting that number. So then they gave me 35. I was like, okay, perfect. I wore 35 in high school. So then I get to Kansas City, and crazy enough, so when I got to Kansas City, Marcus Allen was 32. Ronnie Lott was 42. A lot of people don't forget that Ronnie Lott played for the Chiefs. He was on injured reserve. So then I'm like, okay, 35 someone.
A lot of people forget LaShawn McCoy. Won a Super Bowl. Yeah.
So William White had 35. And I was like, okay, number 40, starting cornerback. James Hasty's number 40. They gave me 49. I'm like, dude, and I was low on the totem pole. They gave me 49. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this number and just make it the number. So I wore 49, but I got a great 49 story real quick. I know we're running out of time. So I
love this.
So I had 49 all the way through Chiefs. I'm talking about 2 Pro Bowls, boom, boom. Signed a pretty good contract with the Minnesota Vikings.
It's public.
So I go there. So I go to Minnesota, and they already have a guy number 49. So when they recruited me, they pretty much was like they were like they took me to the stadium. They had my number 49. Boom, boom, boom. So I get there. I signed with them. I get there, and there was a guy named Rich Owens who wore number 49, backup tight end. So I get to my locker like first day off-season program. They got Richardson NFL. I'm like, dude, I got a jersey. Y'all gave me a jersey with 49, whatever. So I go to Rich Owens. I'm like, hey, Rich. I was like, I said, hey, man, obviously Tony Richardson, man, I'm so glad you're here, boom, boom. And I said, Lou, I wore that number like for the last like 11 years of my career. It really means a lot to me. And he's like, well, we could talk about it. I'm sitting here looking at him like, what do you mean we could talk about it? Like, this was the first year and the second year in the league. So he's like, let me go home and talk to my wife. So he comes back. He's like, 25,000. And that's something, that's traditional, whatever. So
that's like, a Hyundai.
But then I was like, then I talked to the strength coach, to the equipment manager. I'm like, dude, you guys gave me a jersey, my number. I was like, dude, I'm not paying 25,000. So Rich was like, he's like, listen, all right. He said, so listen, let's do, I think it was like 18,000. If I don't make the team, I pay you back. How about he got cut? I haven't got my 18,000 back. So Rich Owens, if you see this right here, he's coaching somewhere too. Rich, I'm coming from 18,000, bro.
So
right about now, with interest is 35,000 for you.
So my final question to you, and I think
he didn't even make the team. 18,000.
My final question to you is
that was awesome.
I think I'd be doing a disservice to anybody who's listening.
We're doing a disservice to Rich Owens.
We're all about
you've blocked for some great running backs. Priest Holmes, Adrian Peterson, Marcus Allen. Who's your favorite to block for?
Who made it easy on you?
To the guy who that's a great question. The guy who made it, that's difficult. The guy who probably made it the easiest for me was Priest Holmes, because Priest would I would always host the running backs at my house on Thursday nights, and we would eat barbecue, play pool, and then we study film. And Priest was such a technician of understanding where his blocks were and all this kind of stuff. So me and Priest, during the games, I knew exactly where he was thinking. He knew what I was thinking, and we worked well. My easiest job was probably Adrian Peterson, because he was coming downhill so fast that all I had to do was just get out. I mean, literally, no joke.
Get off the tracks.
So probably the third or fourth day of pass. And it's funny because I was watching football and everything. I knew we drafted AP 6th pick out of Oklahoma. And so we ran, it was a single back play, toss sweep.
Mm-hmm.
AP takes the ball. I promise to this day, seen someone run that fast on a sweep and turn the corner. I was standing there. I was standing next to the scouts. I was about as old as all the scouts. And I'm standing there. I'm like, holy crap. Dude, I've never ever seen a big man run that fast. Yeah. Dude, it was, dude, I know I'm taking up too much time.
No, you're not.
No, this is
yo, the pleasure
awesome.
is on this side.
This is classic. So we play against the Chargers. We end up rushing as a group collectively 300 and something yards. AP had, I think, 295 by himself. Insane. So after the game, right, I'm gassed.
295 by himself.
I'm gassed. No, he did.
No, he did. We had 396 as a group. I'm gassed. AP was like, yo, he's like, yo, man, what we gonna do? I said, what we gonna do? I said, dude, I'm going home. I'm like, dude, you just rushed for 295, 296, and this dude was ready to go get it. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I'm like, and then I used to look at him. I'm like, okay, AP, he, it's like they say you bring in a young puppy for an old dog. So I was always like, okay, let's do sprints.
Gotta keep on leash.
I love to run sprints out of practice. So we'd always do over back one. He's like, yeah, let's do 4. I was okay, great. He said, no, let's do over back 1. I said, dude, don't you realize we just had a full practice? Dude, that dude was a monster. Then I would look at him. I said, okay, AP, I know how you get this muscle, How you get that muscle? Dude, he had muscle. I'm like, dude, how do you, this dude was I'm talking about a freak of nature. He takes his shirt. I'm like, dude, AP, if my body looked like that, I wouldn't have a shirt in my closet. This dude is like, I'm talking about shredded from head to toe. I've never seen anyone that, and the stiffest handshake, break your knuckles, grab it, dude, don't shut, dude, you ain't got to impress me. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not. Hey, we're dapping right here now. Yeah,
does it still mean a lot when people come up to you and then they impart how you affected their life, or the great memories, stuff like that?
Yeah, the biggest thing now, especially in this on this side of it, it's I was always the guy that's like, dude, make sure you put your money in 401k. And he's like, T-Rich, but I need to buy some rims. And I would tell him, I said, listen, a 401k is not wheels, but it's going to be a vehicle that's going to carry you for the rest of your life. And I said, one day, I promise, if you play 5 years, you're going to call me up one day when you look at that balance in your 401k. I said, I promise you. So that's the biggest thing now. Now guys were like, because we'd have some guys in the locker room. There's always one or two loud voice, respected on the team. T-Rich is stealing y'all money. I'm like, idiot. I'm not stealing your money. It's 401k.
I thought you should have got Herm Edwards on him.
Yeah, no, I didn't have Herms. Yeah,
when you used to do the Ricky Symposium,
exactly.
like there's
one watch, you need one car.
There's a lot of
you
look at the NFL locker room.
Yeah, seriously,
they're not all millionaires. There's a lot of thousandaires.
Yeah,
and a lot of people got champagne taste on beer money.
Exactly.
I still remember them partying that.
And that's the thing too, because you look up and it's like you feel like I went to Dallas and I still had my college car. I thought I was rolling. I had a Mazda B2000 lowrider with
dog. You weren't rolling.
I was rolling.
Maybe rolling into the lot.
So then I pull up, and the Cowboys had just come out back-to-back Super Bowl. So everybody, I'm talking about the backup to the backup.
Dion, Irvin, they set the standard for him.
They all had like the Mercedes S500, S550, and I was like, dang, I'm like my paycheck I'm making right now ain't about as much as these rims. But I realized I stayed in my lane. I'm like, and as bad as I wanted to, I was like, nah, I'm good. So you go to the club, you see all their cars parked, you see my Mazda B2000 right up front, baby.
A lot of people
15s in there from college.
A lot of people don't realize that the game checks don't come in the off season.
No.
Like you got to plan for that, and also you're the jock tax.
Yeah.
You can play a game in California. You're paying California state taxes. I think it's amazing the NFL initiative because a lot of people don't have congruent backgrounds of trying to set at least the resources readily available. Like if you want financial empowerment, if you want educational opportunities, or really pursue the betterment, I would like to commend you guys in the league office, alumni affairs, player engagement for all you guys do, because I think you're growing the game from a humanistic standpoint, and it's not just anything like that. So
and funny enough, it's like, and I always say this because I'm like, there's no other job or no other profession in the world if you finish that you can actually go back and now you have a job at say Sears, obviously out of business, but you might get a pension, but you can't go back to them 10 years later and be like, hey, you know what, I'm struggling, and the boom. So what we're able to do, and I get it, and it's like we're in a form of entertainment, but I also understand it's like I tell guys, I said, listen, this job, we say NFL is not for long, regardless of how long you play. Just use this as a stepping stone. It's going to carry you for the rest of your life. You can make generational. If you're Josh Allen, like, he's never going to, and he just married a gazillionaire, so he's all right. But you know what I mean? But like you said, there's only going to be one Josh Allen. So in the same thing, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. There's only going to be, those guys. But it's like, use this right here, get every relationship, build the bonds, and it's going to carry you. It's going to be a springboard because when you get the shield behind you, it opens up doors. But once you open the door up, you better know what you're doing when you get in there. So,
and there's only going to be one Tony Richards, and we want to thank you for coming on the guest.
Yeah,
obviously,
not married. I got 2 dogs.
And you got 2 new dogs with you because we're riding with you. We want to thank you so much for coming on. We're at the Why Not You football camp with Jeremy Kelly. And you just heard from a legend, a Walter Payton Man of the Year, a multiple Pro Bowl guy.
Oh, very awesome.
I got to rescue Rambo. Shout out. He got 3 legs. 3 legs don't care. I rescued him from Egypt, and then my husky goes 3 years old.
Rescued him from Egypt.
Yeah, I got him from Egypt. Yeah, so he kept me through COVID.
Was Yemen sold out?
No. Hey, thank God I got him before COVID because like I was living in LIC. They had the curfews and all.
What
that
a
stuff.
Weird time that
was. It was incredible, and like I was like, and there was days where you just didn't want to get up, and I'm like, I had to get up, so I had to take him out. It was just me and my dog. Me and my dog. And we just stayed in the house. But it was like him and I bonded, and it would have been tough to get through COVID without having. Yeah. I couldn't travel. My parents are older, so I couldn't fly home. Like, oh yeah, bro. Hey, mom, dad. So guess what I brought you? COVID. No. So I couldn't do that. So I'm like, I'm stuck in New York.
Yo,
like,
that was funny,
dude. We were sitting out.
Yo, I was in New York too. Dude, it was weird. I thought someone was gonna knock on my door and be like, "No, you're patient one. Come."
Yeah. They were like, oh, if you get a package, they had to wipe the packages down.
Wipe it down.
Yeah. And I'm like standing in the window. So we do Zoom parties. And I named I only had a 2-bedroom. And I'm like, okay, this is a speakeasy. This is the VIP lounge. And like, we'd have like make different cocktails. We got it in.
So all of a sudden you're hanging LED lights.
Oh, all of that. All of it. Yeah.
You get really into ficus plants.
And then, not get into the political part, but we turn on the news and then Como would get on there like, yeah, we had 675 deaths today.
Do you remember the Shake Shack initiative?
Dude, it was insane, man. Yeah.
Who was it? Bill, the mayor. Bill.
I know you're talking about.
That was one of the weirdest things ever. If you get the vaccine, you get a free fry and a burger from Shake Shack.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get huge while you over here getting the vaccine. We're not giving away.
How do we know these cows don't got COVID?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like the numbers. It was crazy because I'm just like I feel like we were living in a different universe. Just the number of people that lost their lives and just all that kind of stuff, especially living in New York. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So, but appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
You
Tony,
guys.
Can I touch the Aura ring? I want some. I want some this energy. I want some of it.
But this is just the Aura ring that they sent for this. And I just threw it on one day, and I was like, I noticed when I wear this, like, oh, I'm married, so leave me alone. Yeah.
Tony Richardson, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Go out there and coach the kids, man. This has been nothing but.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, almost done now.
We had a good time.
We had the time flew. It's already 8 o'clock. We're supposed to be eating at 8:05.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good hit.
Muddy Tacos on the way.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
guys, man.
Tony. Thank you.
That was. For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs. All right, and we are back. We just had Tony Richardson on. That was a great interview. I got some great things out of him. Talked about the camp. Talked about his role in the NFL. Talked about who his favorite running back that he blocked for was.
Favorite number?
Heard how ripped Adrian Peterson is. I mean, heard just about everything from him. Great interview, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll be bringing more to you tomorrow as well. More interviews tomorrow as well.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll probably have Dale Talley, I believe Joe Andreessen, we'll have Doug Worthington. One of my
for
buddies.
sure.
But you think it's a joke when I say it, Matt? Nothing but
Illustrious guests.
Yeah. So, I mean, from hearing from a guy from the league office, right, and everything they're trying to do with the Legends program,
Mm-hmm.
and you heard it last week from Jeremy Kelly, just how a lot of it's crisis management. A lot of it is breaking down the barriers of man and stuff like that, and that's why like a lot of this stuff matters. That what Maddie and I and Do Champions are trying to do. Maddie and I met 2-3 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, and we always kind of joke and say stuff like that I always thought Matt was kind of a herb or something like that. And once he kind of broke down the barriers of me, we got a network out of it. We got best friends, and we get nothing but illustrious guests. But seriously, in looking around at all of this, Matt, the kids running around and stuff like that.
I mean, this is what it's about.
Pan to them right now.
Yeah.
Here. Go that one too.
I mean, this is what it's truly about. Like, this is.
Yeah, I feel good right now.
Not, you might get one of these kids making the NFL. Maybe. Like, and
statistically, no.
I'm just saying, like, you might get one of them that makes the NFL or goes to college to play football or anything. But this is what it's truly about: is watching these kids learn the game of football, and they can do things like that we've gotten into with the podcasting, and all that stuff. And who knows what's going to happen in 10, 12, 15 years from this side of the internet or this side of the game or anything like that with the internet and AI and everything else that's coming out. I mean, that really helps not only us now but like in the future as well. And it's just a great thing to see, with a lot of these guys coming back to New York. Daryl Talley, Tony Richardson, a lot of these guys coming back. It kind of instills that it really is a brotherhood, man. Yeah.
I can't claim it, but it's a game, and I certainly feel.
But you can claim it, though. I mean, you had that brotherhood in college. There's still guys that you talk to from Monmouth that
I'm talking about Shield claiming.
No, and I get that too. But I mean,
it always makes me feel uncomfortable, honestly, a little bit hokey to bring that up. But like, I'm very aware of the statistics. I played Division I football. Only 2.9% or something like that of high school players play Division I football. But like, I would say, the most impactful things. We had a question earlier about like what was my favorite playing memory. Truly, my favorite college memory, man, is eating with the guys, all being on the same schedule. Like, it sounds like kind of stupid, but like, if we had the night off, we knew that was like our party. That was our party night. If we have an early lift, like, we went to the early dinner, at the athletic facility, and we're all in bed at 8:00. And, even something as stupid, and I don't mean this in a weird way. Like if my Sam linebacker was dating someone from Delta Phi Epsilon, then
yeah,
they're at all the parties. It was just like, it's just, the game is just such camaraderie.
Well, and mine is on a lesser level, obviously, but I mean, it's it's definitely something that I got, especially because you always looked up, in 9th and 10th grade, you're like, oh, I want to be in that senior room. I want to know what that's like, and then when you got there, we had the senior room, we had the couches, we brought the PS2s in, yes, I'm dating myself. I know PS2. Now there's PS5 out now. When playing Madden 2000, Madden 2003 and 4 and whatever else it was in that room. And we'd just be sitting there, during two-a-days, and, we wouldn't leave, during the, we'd have a 2 to 5 and a 6 to 9 practice, you'd have that hour in between. And, yeah.
Well, we're going to have another hour for you tomorrow as we wrap up tonight.
I hope longer than an hour, because we're going to have more like Joe Andreessen, like we said, hopefully Daryl Talley, hopefully, some of the guys
Thurman.
that weren't here. Yeah, exactly. So definitely want to thank everybody for watching tonight, and definitely tune in tomorrow, because we're going to be here for some a lot of the day, and it's a lot of fun.
It's everything you need
and nothing you don't.
Hey, Matt.
What's up?
Good to be seen.
Good to be seen.
Win it, baby!